Good morning, everybody. I'm Weather and Radar Meteorologist Becca Parker. Merry Christmas week. Happy Hanukkah week starting Wednesday night. We've got a lot to go over the next couple of days here. We're doing your live holiday travel forecast. If you're already at your travel destination, awesome. If you're hitting the road today or tomorrow or even hitting the skies, great thing to tune in because we've got some things to talk about weather-wise so you can get to your destination to celebrate your holidays this week. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah week. So I want to go over a couple of things before we tune in to the weather. Right behind me is the weather radar. You can find this on your weather radar app. I'm putting the link to download it into the chat. If you do have any questions as we go through this live forecast, please feel free to drop any questions into that chat. I will be checking it throughout the live today. We do have many things to go over as far as the weather. It's we've got a little bit of flooding going on, some heavy rain, maybe some snow and ice. So a little bit of everything that we have to keep an eye out for as you go about your holiday travel the next couple of days. So whether you are just awaiting your guests or you are heading to friends and family, be sure to tune in the rest of this live. And we will also be live again tomorrow to give you a quick update for the next 48 hours into your Christmas holiday. So thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I'm Weather and Radar Meteorologist Becca Parker. This is the weather radar behind me, and we're going to just dive in here into the forecast of what we're seeing currently and then what we're going to see the rest of the next couple of days, too. So many of you are waking up this morning across the U.S. Maybe you're feeling wintry. Maybe you're in the South and it's in the 60s. Thank goodness for you. But it's pretty cold. You can see here on the temperature radar that it is quite chilly here in the Appalachians, all the way up into the Northeast. If you can see here on my cursor. Awesome. And also up into the Great Lakes and even the Northern Tier. Northern Tier, you're used to this, right? Yeah, North Dakota, South Dakota, you got Minnesota and Wisconsin. You're used to this weather, I understand, but it's still chilly. It's still chilly. You got the 20s and 30s up there, but it's pretty dang cold over here down into the Northeast. Look at these deep blue. The deeper the blue, the colder the temperature in Albany. Sorry to point out, you're at 9 degrees right now. So pretty cold across the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, and into the Northern Tier here, but as you move a little further south and even to the west, we're getting a little bit more, tolerable here in the 30s across the Midwest, here into the 40s, down into the plains, 50s, 60s. You're doing great down in the southern plains here too. And the sun is just, it's come up, but it's still pretty early over here across the west. So temperatures are still starting to rise for your morning. So things are going to warm up a little bit, but still heading there, right? Alrighty, so let's take a look at why this is happening. So we've got really cold temperatures here moving through. We've got the winter solstice that happened a few days ago on Saturday, and we're getting a little bit more sunlight each day. Thank goodness for that. But it's going to take a while for things to warm up because we're in winter, and it just happens that way that we get the colder temperatures, and many areas are going to be, pretty frigid here, even going into the Christmas holiday and into the Hanukkah holiday as well, the start of it. So let's take a look at the weather radar. What's exactly going on here that you can expect today for your travel? If you've already hit the road, maybe you're working today too. Maybe you notice some wintry weather going on here across the Great Lakes. Let me go ahead and press play on this so you can see the weather radar in action here. So got some snowy action going on here across the upper Great Lakes, upper Midwest, even some icy. Let's just zoom in on that to take a look closer at what's going on here across the upper Midwest. We've got a storm system that is going to be slowly moving from the Midwest to the Great Lakes and down into the Northeast, interior Northeast, and even Mid-Atlantic by tomorrow. So this is going to be one to pay attention to because we've got a lot of folks that will be heading on the roads and hitting the skies here in the major airports here, just from Minneapolis all the way to New York and Washington, D.C. as well. So something to keep an eye on here is this storm system. If you're anywhere from the upper Midwest to the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, this is something to keep an eye on. This low pressure system is bringing some icy weather, some snowy, even rainy weather here. Cold rain too. I mean, La Crosse is at 36 degrees this morning. So, it's pretty chilly no matter what. But we're getting some heavy rainfall mixed in as well, even some ice. So this is going to cause some issues, whether you're hitting the road or the sky. You need to de-ice those planes as well. And then you've got some low visibility with that heavy snowfall happening here across Wisconsin and even heading into the Great Lakes and just touching the lower Great Lakes down over here into the inland or interior parts of New York. So got a little bit of weather that was happening here across this area. You're going to want to keep an eye on the rest of today because this is just going to slowly move to the east, northeast as this low pressure system does shift. So we're going to continue to see this heavy snow, mix of rain on the southern portion of this low pressure system as temperatures are just above freezing. But this is something to keep an eye on because this could slow you down on the roads, even, put some delays into those airports. So keep a close eye on this system. And this is why, if you are delayed, this is likely why here across the area. This is going to continue through the evening, really hitting the Great Lakes by dinner time tonight. So if you're planning on hitting the roads after work, something you want to keep an eye on. Much of Michigan is going to be impacted by this evening, and a little bit left here in eastern Wisconsin. And then it just moves right into the Ohio Valley and Northeast by later tonight. If you're one of those people who wants to travel overnight to beat the traffic, you're going to be hitting this. If you're moving here across the Midwest into the interior Northeast. So something to really keep an eye on. There are winter weather advisories active for this system as it does move across. So keep an eye on those. Have your alerts switched on as well if there's going to be any heavy snow or icing in that area. Even some downpours could cause some flash flooding issues. So really keep an eye on this as we go about your travel over the next couple of days here. Before I get too far into this, I want to make sure we don't have any questions. Awesome. Alrighty. So let's take a look at what this is doing for the next couple of days here. This is late tonight, Eastern time, 11 p.m. Eastern. So this frontal system is really going to stretch all the way down into the southern plains here. You're going to get some heavy rainfall here all the way down into Oklahoma City, and this stretches all the way into the Ohio Valley with that snow mixing in those colder temperatures. Only problem is this is going to continue. This storm system is not done yet, and it's going to even reach down to the mid-Atlantic Appalachians here by tomorrow morning. Again, winter weather advisories are active in this area from the National Weather Service. You can even see here as we zoom in that orange color is popping up on the weather radar. What does that mean? That is freezing precipitation, freezing rain, sleet, and mixed even. So we got snow and ice possible here tomorrow morning. Those of you who have Christmas Eve plans, please keep a close eye on this because when we have ice come through, travel can get very tricky. And unfortunately very dangerous. So something to really keep an eye on tomorrow morning as temperatures just hover around that freezing mark before the storm system does start to move out. But that's not all. We have rainfall happening here and mixing in across this area as well. Mid-Atlantic, you're going to be a little messy tomorrow. So you really want to pay close attention here if you're planning on heading out on Christmas Eve. The snow really sticks to the northeast. So we look further on the weather radar here. I'll zoom out so you can see that better. Perfect. The darker the pink, the heavier the snow. So those of you that are heading into the interior northeast from Pennsylvania into New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and all the way up into Maine, you're going to be seeing some heavy snowfall in those darker pink areas. Have your alerts switched on. It's going to be very helpful. Temperature is going to be below freezing. So not only are you watching out for snow, I mean, many of you up here in the Northeast are pretty used to driving in snow. I understand that. But also, have an extra blanket in the car. It couldn't hurt. Have a winter emergency kit in your car as well. You never know if you get stuck in traffic or even the snow is too heavy to be driving in. If you have to pull over, you want to make sure you're staying warm and also conserving gas in your car. So please have that winter emergency kit stocked, ready to go before you hit the road. You'll be thankful that you did in case you do get stopped. So what else is happening here? Let's see. For today, let me go back here. We've got some showers that are happening here. Luckily down here in the mid-Atlantic, you're quiet today, and then you move down to the Carolinas, pretty quiet. But right here, we've got a disturbance here right off the coast of the Southeast and Florida. So we've got some showers moving across this area here and some cloudy weather. But these showers are really just going to hang out here right off the coastline. So something to keep an eye on if you are just traveling here along US 95 as you're getting down into the southeast here. So these showers are just going to stick around all throughout the night and even into tomorrow, get into the Carolinas here before this frontal system finally sweeps it out into the Atlantic, right? Those of you that are along the coast could hear a couple rumbles of thunder as this storm system continues. You can see here we got the lightning showing up here on the weather radar. So don't be surprised if you hear a little bit of Christmas thunder here across the area. Now, that frontal system that I talked about earlier with this large storm system impacting the Northeast with the snow and the ice is going to continue throughout the day tomorrow. And I'll get into what the Weather Service also has here for this area, but the weather radar is already picking up on it. We got some heavy rain moving here across the area very early tomorrow morning. This is 4 a.m. Central Time, down into Dallas and along I-30 here a little bit, but especially up into Oklahoma. You're going to be seeing some heavy rainfall tomorrow with some thunderstorm activity tomorrow morning. Don't be surprised if you get woken up by a little bit of thunder here across the southern plains and even into the mid-Mississippi Valley. Heavy rainfall will impact your travel. It could slow you down. So you really want to pay close attention here to the weather radar. Have your alerts switched on. Again, when it comes to having your alerts on, have at least 3 ways to receive weather warnings on your phone from something else and then from something else, right? If your phone dies, then you don't have any of your weather alerts if that's the only thing you're relying on. So be sure to have 2 other ways in addition to your phone to receive those weather alerts. Make sure everything's charged. A NOAA weather radio is a great tool to have too, especially if you're traveling. Add that to your winter emergency kit. Be recharged easily so you can have all the information you need at your fingertips just in case. Especially when you come into a situation like this. If you got heavy rainfall you're moving into, you're moving into an area that doesn't really handle rain very well. Any roads that would puddle or flash flooding can happen. You're going to want to have those alerts switched on and the ability to know before you go to be able to see what's happening. So the weather radar is going to be a great tool for you if you're traveling here across the Southern Plains into even the portions of the lower Mississippi, but especially the mid Mississippi Valley. And we'll get into how much rainfall is expected here very soon. Central US into the Mountain West, you're pretty quiet starting today. However, the northern Rockies here into the high plains, you're dealing with some snow and rain this morning. And this is going to continue throughout the day today. So let me go ahead and get you in there. There we go. All right. Idaho Falls, Boise, you're pretty much, wrapping up here, but we could see some snow showers or rain showers here the rest of the day as this continues to slowly move out. But this is reaching all the way up into eastern Washington here, where we got mix of snow and rain and higher elevation snow especially. So please keep an eye on this as the storm system does move down into still the high plains here, but then to the central Rockies over the next several hours into this evening. So this is going to continue throughout the day today. So please keep a close eye on this if you're heading into the mountains. Speaking of that, though, you can see that orange popping up. We got some icy action happening here across central Wyoming here. So please keep a close eye as you're hitting the road. Things could slow down if you are heading to friends and family here for the Christmas holiday or the Hanukkah holiday here across central Wyoming. This even reaches down here into the mountains of the icy situation. So really want to pay close attention to that as you are hitting the road. Those of you that are planning on flying, you'll understand why you have some de-icing happening across your plane if you do get delayed with that too. So finally, getting into the west here, let's see what's happening here across the west this morning. Getting some cloud cover here across northern California into some scattered clouds here up into the Pacific Northwest. However, your action is coming later today. So the weather radar is showing this next storm system moving in across the west in the form of heavy rainfall. So this is going to continue moving into northern California. And then by this evening, get up into the Pacific Northwest. Something you want to keep a close eye on too, because there are marginal risks, which mean just isolated risks for flash flooding here across the coastal areas of northern California. 2 to 4 inches of rain is not out of the question here, and especially more as it does reach into the mountains area. So you're going to want to keep a close eye on the situation if you are traveling today. Look at this low pressure too. Very nicely showing up on the weather radar, this swirl right here. But this front is just going to keep moving inland across through this evening, overnight, and into tomorrow. As you can see here, as it hits the higher elevations, we're getting some snow here too. These areas had been experiencing, and probably I think today still experiencing, some above average temperatures for this time of year. So awesome if you got to experience that over the weekend. Maybe get the last of your holiday decorations up and you got to have some more milder weather, but we're still dealing with some rain. So something you want to keep a close eye on. This is going to continue into Tuesday, into Christmas Eve. This is just going to become a little bit more messy as we do get into the Christmas Eve part of the holiday. The rain is going to reach down further into California, and you got some Sierra Nevada snow. There are winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings here across the Sierra Nevada. And then the snow does reach up into the Cascades as well, and even further into the northern Rockies. So let me point out again, we got some icy action happening here. I only point out the ice, especially because one, it shows up really well on the weather radar, but also this really throws a wrench into your travel plans if there's ice. So something really to keep a close eye on here if you're traveling here along the Canada border. Whoops, let's bring this back over. And even into northwestern Montana and then northern Rockies here too. So icy action still happening here. Slippery road conditions, nobody wants that when they're traveling, but you're going to have to keep an eye out for it. So when you're looking at the weather radar, please make sure you're zooming into your location as far as you can too, so you can see exactly where those conditions can be showing up, where you're changing from rain to snow to ice. Things could happen like that as these systems do move in and further inland. So this is just going to continue through tomorrow. So Los Angeles, you could be getting some showers by early tomorrow afternoon. This is just after lunchtime, Pacific time. Even some thunder snow, some heavy rainfall happening here across the lower Sierra Nevada. So really a lot is happening here across the West, and you want to make sure that you get your information for your flights if you are traveling by air tomorrow, so that if there's a delay, this is likely why. So let's see what the temperatures look like for tomorrow as well. So as we get into, let's look at today first, and I'll just show you the pattern. Temperatures are going to be rising throughout the east tomorrow ahead of that storm system. Let's get into today. Still staying cold today, but then tomorrow, let's bring this in. After the very cold, then chilly temperatures happening tonight. We have tomorrow happening here across the eastern US. You can see temperatures are slightly warmer here. I know, I say warmer, it's 30s and 40s. It's warmer than the 20s. So let's take a look at what it's going to rise to tomorrow. So those of you that are under those winter weather advisories, especially in the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast here, temperatures are going to be rising. And with that comes the threat for ice, just because layers at the surface could be making things interesting as this wintry precipitation does fall. When you have freezing rain, the rain comes down and then it freezes on the surface because the surface could be below freezing, but the rainfall just went through a layer of above freezing air. So it could get pretty complicated as far as travel if you are traveling here across the mid-Atlantic, even into the Appalachians here. So, but that's good that temperatures are going to be rising into the 40s later on in the day, so you don't have to worry about refreezing in the afternoon if you are traveling then. So, something really to keep a close eye on. However, if you're across the South, you're in very nice conditions. You got the 60s and 70s just moving in across the southern plains here into the lower Mississippi Valley, deep south. 50s, not too bad. I will say, being in Maryland, the 50s sound pretty nice right now. So not too bad here, but in Florida, you're comfortable in the 60s and 70s. That's going to be nice for tomorrow as well. If you are spending your Christmas Eve holiday outdoors, it's a great time to do it. However, when it does come to the outdoor weather, make sure you're checking the weather radar too, because we talked about earlier, we've got that stormy weather happening possible across the southern plains. As you can see here, Dallas area, you're going to be, dodging some showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. So let's talk about that a little bit more. The Storm Prediction Center does have, let me bring this up here, a marginal risk tomorrow for, here we are, marginal risk tomorrow for severe weather, isolated severe storms. The biggest threat from these storms is going to be gusty winds and large hail. When it comes to the gusty winds, those of you that do have your big blow-up holiday decorations out, awesome, but make sure they're really tied down or you take them down during these storm events, because the gusty winds are going to be greater than 57 miles per hour should they happen, and Santa could go flying or your reindeer go flying. So you really want to pay close attention to the weather radar to make sure you don't have any storm cells coming in, so you can make sure you're not going to be batten down the hatches for those holiday decorations outdoors. So something you want to keep in mind is that there is that isolated risk for severe weather. This could go up. So this is for tomorrow. So on Tuesday, you might want to pay attention to, as for this area, this could go up to a slight risk possibly as well. So just keep a close eye. Have those alerts switched on so you can get the latest information. Let me double check any questions before we move on. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I promise we'll be wrapping up here shortly. We just got a lot to talk about. So when it comes to that severe weather, again, make sure your alerts are switched on. You'll be good to go. Let's talk about, too, what else you can find in the app so that you can get all the latest information as you're going about your holiday. So let me pull this up really quick. So those of you that are planning on gifting skis, we have a feature for you, especially. We have a ski and mountain feature in our app where you can see the conditions at any of the nearby ski resorts in your area. Those of you that are planning on skiing just for your holidays, this is the great tool to use as you go about your holiday over the next couple of days. There are so many locations you can find right on the app. It's completely for free, by the way. So if you are nearby a ski resort, a little ski feature will show up at the top right portion of your local weather forecast. Click on that, and you're going to be getting a lot of information right here at your fingertips. This will show five of the closest ski areas, whether they're open, your altitude, if it's snowing right now, how much snowpack they have. This is a really good tool to use as you go about your holiday. If you're getting skis for Christmas, if you know you're getting skis for Christmas, or snowboards, if you're gifting them, or if you're just spending your holiday at a ski resort, you'll know if you're going to have any wintry weather to have at that area, especially during this time of year, right? A lot of ski resorts have opened in the last month and a half or so, so people are getting out there and enjoying. So this is a great tool to use as you go about your holiday. You can get that latest information right on there too. As soon as you click on it, you'll see the different ski resort names on here. You can just click on it and get that information right at your fingertips. So great tool to use as you go about your holiday season here. Now I talked about those alerts as well too, right? So we have alerts right on our app. Make sure they're turned on so you can get weather alerts for rain, snow, ice. And when we get into the summer seasons, you got the severe weather as well, and even hurricane alerts. They're on your app and they're ready to be used. If you just turn this on right here, you'll get the latest information, the needed information that you want to have at your fingertips. So make sure that's turned on in your app. And if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer. You can even comment after this video as well, and I can give you a tutorial on how to turn it on right in your app. Super easy to do. Alrighty, let's move on here. We talked about heavy rainfall earlier, so I'm going to bring that up here right now. Heavy rainfall across the western US. Let me put that in right now so you can take a look at what we're going to be seeing here just in a little bit more detail. Alrighty, this is from the Weather Prediction Center. We've got the rainfall totals that are expected from this system just for this next, till tomorrow morning. The west here, like I said, Northern California, even into southwestern Oregon here, you're going to be seeing some heavy rainfall. Some pockets here you're going to be seeing up to 7 inches of rainfall, but 2 to 4 is your main expectation across here, across this area, just west of the mountains. But even getting into the mountains here of Northern California, it gets heavier as you go up. So be sure to pay close attention to that. Have your alerts switched on, just like I showed you. You'll be able to get all the information for that. But for tomorrow, not only do we have all of that moving in, which I showed you on the weather radar, rain, snow, heavy ice, that's all moving into the west. We want to talk about too happening here across the areas that could be seeing that stormy weather. We're going to be seeing some heavy rain in addition to that, as we saw on the weather radar. We could see, up to 2-3 inches here across eastern Texas. So those areas that are in those heavy thunderstorms, the downpours, those will be the areas you want to keep an eye out for if you are traveling across those areas. The roads. If you know an area doesn't handle rain very well, use the weather radar to know the timing of that. Even use the rain radar. The rain radar gets into deep detail of the rainfall, and I'll show you that right now, just so you can see the heaviness of that rainfall that is expected across the area, and that's the only thing you see, so that you can actually zone in to what you want to see for that area. This doesn't show snow. This doesn't show lightning. It just shows the rainfall, the rain radar. As the colors get darker, that is the heaviest rainfall. So Dallas here, this is tomorrow. This is 1 p.m. just after lunch on Christmas Eve. You got some heavy rainfall happening here across this area. Something you want to keep an eye on. The rain radar is going to be very helpful if you want to see, just that, so you can know exactly when you want to hit the road. All righty. Let me double check for any questions before we wrap up for today. Again, thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you have a great holiday this week. James West is going to be joining you tomorrow at the same time, same place, right here at 11:30 Eastern time for a recap, in addition to your Christmas Eve and your Christmas Day travel forecast. You can get an idea if you're going to have a white Christmas or not. White Christmas, what counts as a white Christmas, just fun fact, you have at least 1 inch of snow on the ground. So that counts as a white Christmas. If you're me, if you just see it snowing, I'm happy. That's my white Christmas. However, 1 inch of snow equals a white Christmas for records. So just something to know, especially for those of you that are going to be receiving this clipper system moving across the area here into the Northeast tomorrow. So if you got 1 inch of snow, happy white Christmas. Alrighty, thank you all so much for joining me. I will be here again next time we have a big weather event, and you'll see James West right here, same time tomorrow. So be sure to ask all the questions you can with him, especially if you want to know the Christmas weather too. Thank you so much, and happy holidays, everybody. Safe drive, safe flight.